Hello, everybody. We are so excited for today. Obviously, it is noon. It is the perfect time to go live. It's lunchtime for, I think, everybody at this point. For those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Colleen Baker. I am a producer here at the Houston Chronicle. I always like to make sure that everyone can hear us and, we're coming in live. So I want to make sure everyone start chiming in if you are watching us live, where you are tuning in from. Are you in the Galleria area reporting live from the Houston Chronicle office, like myself, or Jody or Bao, who are going to come on screen in a second? I see the Woodlands is on, so that's a good sign that you all can hear me, that the chat is working. We obviously have Chef Thomas Bille in the Spring location of town, suburbs, everyone. I see Uptown Memorials chiming in. Spring also. I see Elizabeth, who is Elizabeth Bille, a very familiar name to Chef Thomas, who I'm sure will speak about that right now. And Montrose is tuning in, so that's wonderful. Just to start off, obviously, before we get to the questions, again, this is a discussion all about, Chef Thomas Bille's work at, Belly of the Beast. We're going to hear from our restaurant critic, Bao Ong, and our food editor, Jody Schmal, as well. We're here to talk about all things food. So start sending your questions for any of them in the comments right now. We will get to as many as we can. And so without further ado, I want to make sure also, before I hand it off to Jody, that everyone knows that after the event is done and we are done being live, we will post this entire video onto our YouTube channel at the Houston Chronicle. So give us 48 hours maximum. We will have it up. Then you can always share it with your local fellow foodies in the area. So Jody, are you there? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
All right. Take it away, Jody.
Okay. So excited today to be chatting with Thomas Bille. He's a wonderful chef from Houston. We have actually known he's a wonderful chef here at the Chronicle for several years. From his work at Chivas in the Heights to his sort of progression through pop-ups, and now his restaurant Belly of the Beast in Spring, which we were very excited to see that he won a James Beard Award for this year. He was the only Houston winner in 2025. Welcome, Chef Thomas.
Hi, how y'all doing?
And then now I think Bao, our restaurant critic Bao, has a bunch of questions for Thomas. I have questions too. So I'll let Bao take it from here.
Hi, Thomas. Always great to see you.
Great to see you, Bo.
So I think everyone, wants to know, after a restaurant wins the James Beard Award, can you just tell us about how life's been with you personally and for the restaurant?
We'll start with business first. Business has been very good. It's been steady. We are about 6 weeks out booked, fully booked. We are a very small restaurant, as you know, but it's good to see that we've been busy. I've been going on various podcasts and like news shows, and our guests have been super wonderful. They've been coming in and giving me flowers and like balloons, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome that a lot of our guests are like super genuinely happy for us. So overall, it's been good. Personally, it's very good. It's always validating for one to receive such an accolade. I mean, it's awesome. It was obviously I was the underdog, but persevered.
So were you surprised?
Yes and no. That morning, I did wake up and I told Liz that I'm gonna win this thing. I was like, she's like, are you sure? I said, yeah. I was like, I received a message in my dream that says, be ready for what's to come. And but at the ceremony, I was kind of blacking out a little bit. I was like wiping my hands because I was like so sweaty. So I was just kind of like, so when she said my name, I thought she was still saying the nominations. And then Liz turns around and she's like, you won. And I was like, what? Like, yeah, so it was great. It was a blessing.
No, that was a great moment. And there's a lot of debate about kind of, what the merit of these awards are, whether it's a James Beard Award that you just won, 6 weeks ago, or Michelin, which you're on one of their lists. But I think the fact of the matter is that there's still very much impact from these awards, whether, a chef is kind of shooting for these, accolades or not. Can you kind of describe what it means for a small business?
For a small business, I think it's been wonderful. Like we could start with just getting like the Michelin bib nod, and we've been busy from there. It's kind of just been keeping us afloat. People actually look into that, look into their app, and like want to like, it was our first year getting Michelin here in Texas, right? So, you know, I'm assuming majority of people that live here haven't eaten at Michelin star restaurants, right? So, that's kind of like their thing. A lot of people like to downplay it, maybe, what I mean? But I feel like, in reality, like every chef thinks it in the back of their head, wouldn't it be great for me to win a Michelin star? Wouldn't it be great for me to get a bib or some kind of like nod? And then for James Beard, like that's even like a bigger goal, right? And I feel like, the business came in waves, right? So we got the Michelin nod in November, and boom, big influx of stuff. Especially it was already the holiday, so we were already kind of like booked up, but it secured the slower days, right? Our in between in the week, middle of the weekdays. So then you get a semifinalist nod from the James Beard, and you start seeing another wave. People are like, "Oh, who's this guy?" Blah blah blah. Then they come and eat. And then you get a finalist one, and the wave is like even bigger. So now we're at like tsunami level, like with the James Beard. Like while we were in Chicago, I turned off the reservations for only 2 weeks out because I told Liz we were already in the process of changing over to Open Table. So I told her like on our old res, we just kind of like the people will come regardless, and it literally like broke our internet. Like we were overbooked, like it overbooked us by like 20 guests, and but I think it means a lot for any business to get these accolades and have people peak interest, right? Like whether it's like, hey, I've never heard of this, let's try it out, to like to then there's people that want to size you up and all that stuff. It all comes with the territory, but I think business is thriving because of it.
And has the recognition, has it opened up other doors for you? Anything unexpected?
um Not really, to be honest with you. I've been approached with certain things, but um I think those doors are yet to be open. I mean, I would like, there's goals that I have that I want to meet, and I hope that this recognition opens those doors, because they're already goals that I've already had written, with accolades or not. Like I want to write a cookbook. I want to start a little cooking show that my kids have been, they wanted me to do like a YouTube cooking show with them, and we've been kind of like in the works of that. And just kind of overall, I mean, also have like other concepts in mind and stuff like that, but nothing set in stone, and there's no like real like clear path for it yet. But they're all ideas that are written down that will be accomplished one of these days.
And you mentioned Open Table earlier. I know that Open Table has been very aggressively courting restaurants in competition with Resi, especially in the last few years. And did they come to you, or because I know you were on your kind of own reservation system? I'm curious if Open Table came to you kind of like after Michelin. It sounds like they came to you before.
No, actually,
Awards. Why you did
we
that?
seeked out. Yeah, we seeked out the reservation system, because the one we had was just it was connected to our POS system, and it was very, what's the word, very basic functions, you know what I mean? So we needed like a third party kind of thing. So we you know Open Table gave us the better offer than Resi, so that's like how we made our decision and stuff like that. But both openly gave us like great deals. Just Open Table for us as a small restaurant gave us a better deal.
Well, let's backtrack a little bit. I'd love for you to kind of share a little bit about, kind of how you got into restaurants. When we wrote the opening story, I love talking to you about kind of your childhood and kind of how you got into restaurants in Southern California. It'd be great to hear about that.
Yeah, well, just growing up where I grew up, very diverse neighborhood. My street alone had probably like 7 or 8 different nationalities, I got to smell their cuisine and taste their food at a very young age. Left a huge imprint on me. Having 2 parents that both cook. My dad professionally was a chef, worked at like French restaurants and Italian restaurants and stuff like that. My mom's just honestly a very phenomenal cook, and from both of them, I received different um, cooking styles, right? Like my dad was like the international, like we were eating like prime rib and like aju and stuff like that. And then my mom would like teach me all the Mexican stuff. We'd eat pozole or menudo, enchiladas and stuff like that. So I got to learn the Mexican side from her mainly. My dad did cook some Mexican dishes, but not as much as like how my mom did. And you know, they were both raising 3 boys, and my mom made sure she worked 12 hours, come home and still cook this dinner, and made do with what we had. And all that like work ethic and seeing that food obviously left an imprint. And then just being able to eat like all kinds of cuisine. So when I did start like actually cooking, I already had like a bunch of crazy ideas like of like different restaurants that I wanted to make. Like even before becoming a professional cook, I wanted to make like like an all chicken restaurant with like different sauces from around the world. It was like random funny stuff, um but when I got into it professionally and was able to start actually like create my own style, that's when I really actually dug in more into my roots and my upbringing more than anything, to give my food my own identity.
And you worked at OTM, which, when it opened, it was very much in the national spotlight. The chef for a long time. And did that, I think that was like the last restaurant you worked at in California before you moved to Houston. But I'm
It
just kind
was.
of curious, how did that shape your goals?
So when I opened Odium, I opened as the commis chef. So I was the sous chef for the commis team, which commis means like the prep team, right? So like we when I first got, so I was at the Ritz-Carlton, and I actually met Tim at a pop-up that they did for the movie Chef, where they were cooking Cubanos and stuff. And I chatted with him, and then we did the food and wine festival, and we actually shared the same tent. It was very serendipitous. And then like literally a year later, I got a job with him. I did a tasting, and I got hired as the opening sous chef with him. So, opening that restaurant, just like the size of the caliber, like I was able to even see like the construction side of it. Because when we got to working there, it was still under construction, and it was highly acclaimed, right? Like they were like super anticipated. He had did 13 years, had the French Laundry, he moved down to LA, and just at the time, probably like one of the chefs with the biggest accolades at the time, right? And so I really wanted to work there. Um, and then, within like 8 months, I became the executive sous chef there. And, you know, I, as an opening, what it taught me is I was in charge of a lot of things. I had a lot of responsibilities, more responsibilities than a normal chef has. Like, ordering the firewood, ordering the linens, ordering like the chemicals, like training like the dishwashers, and doing like all these odd little things, and like setting up the accounts for this stuff too, right? So I always like to say that every job gives me a stepping stone, and Odium gave me a huge stepping stone, especially like when I thought about wanting to open my own restaurant. I'm like, well, I already know how to contact these people and what I have. So when it came time to actually open my restaurant, I was like, well, I have contacted like the disposal and the oil refuse, and I mean, like I had like a large criteria of things that you don't really get to do. So with as much responsibility it has, it all helped me open the restaurant.
So you've been in Houston a handful of years now. How would you describe it? Now that you've been living here, now you obviously like run your own restaurant, and you've worked in like a few other kitchens as well. Um, I'd love to kind of hear your perspective as someone who started their career in LA, kind of how you describe Houston's food scene, Houston's working in Houston restaurants to other people in the industry.
So when I moved here almost 7 years ago, and the food scene was like for me already like coming up, right? Like there was chef driven restaurants. I think as time progressed, I saw like the Houston food scene flourish, right? Like, and with me being involved in it as well, right? Like being part of that narrative. But what I really, 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 really admire about the city of Houston is that small, small time um, pop-ups or concepts are looked at under a good spotlight, right? Like like journalists like you and other ones, they actually like look at these pop-ups and you know give love to them and stuff like that. And I find that like being such a big diverse city that they still got that little bit of that small town feel where you're able to like make a mark, right? Like for example, like Emmanuel, right? Like he was making tortillas in a parking lot, you got Emma, like Nicolas and Stephanie, that were making their pastries and their tacos in a parking lot, and now best new restaurant nod from from James Beard, and then you have like Street to Kitchen, Chef G, in the spot that they were at, where the gas station was at. It was tiny, a tiny, tiny place, and most of those things kind of get overlooked at it in LA, right? Like unless obviously with rest in peace Jonathan Gold, he would look at those places, but like the new writers and stuff like that, they don't really look at those like hole in the walls, right? They're not really like going out there searching for that gem. And I feel like Houston's always looking for that gem and still looking, not only like giving praise to like the people that are doing these $1 million build outs, but like the small time people just like us and actual chef owners of concepts and stuff like that. I think it's a beautiful thing. And now we got like people that are moving here from other states and other cities that are doing these concepts and just kind of bringing more to the tapestry of cuisine that we have here, and just really enjoy being part of that narrative. And I think we are like a top tier city when it comes to food.
Absolutely. Can you talk about how you opened Belly of the Beast just kind of like weeks before the pandemic, um,
Yes.
and you were open for about a year. You closed, but then you came back. Like, how much what kind of role did these pop-ups and these collaborations play in kind of you know reopening, if you would say, Belly of the Beast and kind of this like 2.0 version of the restaurant?
Yeah. So, so when we closed that restaurant, I literally said that I was pushing pause, which really meant I was pushing pause, which meant like I was going to start over again. And that's not a problem. I've started my career over many times, and I always feel that that's kind of like my superpower because you don't start from zero, you start with experience. So, when I did push pause and not renew my lease, those opportunities with Chivos came like a little bit weeks after, and it's kind of just always like, God's timing is perfect for me. Always that I see that I was able to like pivot a little bit, kind of like get my name out there into the city. But I always gave a year commitment on that one. I told them like, hey, I'm gonna do this for a year because I really want to reopen my restaurant. So I did that for a year, and once the year was done, I left. I parted ways, and then I started pop-ups pretty much immediately. What those pop-ups did was it actually showed me that the guests that were coming to our pop-ups were people from my area, were people that missed us, that people from the Spring area. So about 60% of the guests that were coming to eat at our pop-ups were the audience up here in the north, right? Like Spring and the Woodlands area. So I just honestly, Liz and I were thinking like, well, we'd be fools to not open over here, because if they're willing to travel 30, 40 miles an hour away to come eat at a pop-up, and plus we live in this area, and I feel like this area is underserved when it comes to like chef driven food. There's a lot more like cookie cutter, like what's the word, chain restaurants. Um, so I feel like just being over here and being able to offer like a meal that is quite different in like a 30-mile radius, right? So yeah, seeing the pop up and seeing like that demographic, it was an easy choice to like open up here.
Mhm. And obviously, the pandemic was a huge challenge for the industry as a whole. But I think the landscape of the restaurant business has also changed within these last few years. And my colleague Sonia Garcia has been writing stories, kind of documenting, kind of looking into these challenges that are, that restaurants are facing
Right.
to stay alive. And I think that would kind of segue into, we have a question here, but kind of like, what is the hardest part of running your restaurant right now?
The hardest part about running a restaurant, so to backtrack on your question, when we were in the pandemic, people were rallying, right? Like people were rallying behind businesses and making sure that they weren't closing, and buying family packs and to-goes, and you were able to sell like alcohol to go. And I think it was more of like a lot of moral support from the community, right? Like they were like uplifting people. But now I feel it's a lot more difficult because people are eating out maybe what, 2 times less a week or something like that. There's actual percentages, and I don't know the numbers for sure, but I know it's a lot less. People are eating out a lot less now. And because there's like, we don't understand, right? There's economic challenges, right? There's obviously like wars going on in the world and stuff like that. So there's a lot of uncertainty for people, for them to just go out and spend the kind of money. People are making less. I feel that you have to offer like, so when we first opened, I mean, we were super slow, right? So like, I made sure that our pricing was very, very competitive, even if we were getting high quality product. Just got to kind of get these people in. And I feel running a business is extremely difficult. You got to look at the numbers. You got to look at your portion sizes. You have to really be on top of everything. I am on the phone every Monday, talking to my purveyors and asking them prices and seeing what they're offering. And I make my decisions based off that, because at the end of the day, this is a business, right? Like, even though we're doing well, like I always tell like our guests, what's next, are you gonna get something bigger? And I'm always like, man, I stay to the ground, because this could all go away tomorrow. It doesn't matter how many accolades you have or anything like that. People can stop coming in, and we need to be very business savvy when it comes to that, right? Be able to maneuver that and make sure that may even if the quality, like, to keep the quality high, but like um still be able to maneuver properly, and be able to turn a profit at least, or like break even. It's very difficult nowadays.
No, we hear you on these challenges. And that reminds me, I remember you gave a shout out to your wife when you accepted your Beard Award, and kind of like alluded to some of the sacrifices. Is that something you're comfortable sharing a little bit more of, kind of the sacrifices that you've made to open Belly of the Beast?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we decided, when I told Liz, I was like, hey, if we're gonna open this restaurant again, I need you full time. you know. So at the original one, she helped, you know, after her work, right? She was a national director for a nonprofit organization. And you know, the first iteration of Belly of the Beast, I handled all the responsibilities pretty much 100%. So I did payroll, I did the accounts payable, I did everything. And it literally was the hardest thing I've ever done, you know, like, you know, not only like working the line every day and personally making the food. Um, it just took a toll on me, right? And like the stresses of the world, right? We're in a global pandemic. I actually got COVID. I lost my sense of taste and smell for a whole month. You know, we had the freeze, like that. I try not to even think about those times because it's very traumatic. You know, like I don't like to like dwell on that because I like to like see like that how we've moved forward, right? And so you know when we had the conversation, and then Liz maintained the job during that, and she provided for us at home. She paid the bills, and you know while I'm over here living my pipe dream, trying to run a restaurant, and um, you know she held us down at home. But this time around, you know, I told her, hey, I need you full time with us, with you and I as a team. You need to run the front, and you need to like I need you to handle these certain responsibilities. That way, I could be in the kitchen, make sure that it's run properly, making sure that our food cost is low, our labor is low, and still be a creative at the same time, right? And yeah, she said so. We opened this without a safety net. We literally used our all our credit cards and whatever it took. We don't have any financiers behind us, you know, and we put it all on our thing and opened it just with literally faith and grit, you know, and now we're looking back at the journey and it's beautiful, you know. But she has played a major role in our success for me being able to like do the food that I'm able to do now and like be able to like make sure the consistency's there.
No, thank you for sharing that, Chef.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk a little bit more about food, though. Would love to hear about kind of, how you come up for inspiration, behind these dishes on the menu. I love how, your upbringing in LA and you have this kind of like this diverse background, and you kind of really display it on the menu. But how do you come up with your ideas?
Well, a lot of it is just sometimes, you know, like, you know, I really love food, right? Like, so like I think about like, you know, flavor combinations. I think about the seasons. I think about what is available. So very much so now that I've been here almost 7 years, I'm understanding the seasons that Texas has to offer, right? So, like for example, like Texas grows peaches. No, not peaches, cherries. They grow peaches as well, but they also grow cherries at the very top of the panhandle, which I just found out recently. So I buy it from them, and I buy like these beautiful peaches from the Idalao area, which is north of Lubbock. Um, and I like them more than the Fredericksburg ones because they remind me of the peach I grew up eating, like fuzzy, super juicy, and just delicious. And so you know, and then peppers grow like crazy here, watermelons. So when I think about that, right, I think about like how, like, okay, for example, like I got like 3 new dishes coming up this week. So we're gonna do a lamb picanha, which is a lamb sirloin, the culat, and we're gonna marinate it very like Mediterranean style. Like so, there's like a lot of spice, like za'atar and sumac and garlic, and um, then we put like rosemary and thyme, and it's called savory, which is like fresh za'atar and stuff like that. Bunch of olive oil, and then we're gonna marinate that for 2 days, and then grill it, cool it down, slice it. But I'm serving it with a baba ganoush because eggplants are very strong on our late summers, and then do like pickled eggplant and a little bit of like frisee salad with like pomegranates because all that stuff's coming in, right? So I kind of just kind of like think about like what's in season, and then like what route do I want to take. I want to make sure that this is a very Mediterranean dish. Those influences play a big role in my life. My oldest daughter, she's half Persian Armenian, and you know, I grew up eating those flavors, and you know, so that stays with me a lot. And then, you know, as I've been living in Texas, we're gonna do like a barbecued quail situation, um, with a little bit of like corn cake and stuff like that. And what's the other what's the other thing I'm doing? Oh, my new pork chop set, which is more like an al pastor flavor with like waka salsa and like a tepache chutney. So when I think about that, I've been thinking like, how can I like get from these experiences and these foods that I've eaten, and just like my overall career, how can I do that and then just kind of like tweak it to our style, and that's just kind of like how it all kind of clicks, and you know, we taste it and then make sure everything's tasty.
We actually have a reader question. Which dish do you think is a quote sleeper hit? Something that you are proud of and wish people ordered more.
I think our shrimp and pork belly dish, which is it's been on since day one, and I was doing them at pop-ups, and I feel like the flavors in it are very Thai forward. I make like a tom yum vinaigrette, so the flavors of tom yum, and we do like a crispy pork belly and then lemongrass marinated shrimp. We grill it, and then it's served with like Chinese long beans, cucumbers, tomatoes, little shaved red onions, some radish, and then we serve it with like a fermented hot sauce that has like palm sugar and lime juice and fish sauce with a bunch of Fresno chilies, and you know, and then you kind of make your lettuce cup, and I feel that it doesn't get the love it deserves because it's so packed with flavor. It's delicious. It's been on since day one for a reason.
I have a question. What would be your, well, I have two questions. If you were cooking dinner for your wife at home, special occasion, celebrating something, what would you make for her?
What would I make? Um, so Liz is a like a steak and potatoes kind of girl. So it would probably be like first like a little ceviche starter, and then like a nice steak with a baked potato, everything on the side for her, and then and then probably finish it with like a creme brulee or a dish that she likes. It's from Guadalajara. It's like kind of like a creme brulee. It's called a jericaya, and it's basically a cooked custard that you do with a bunch of like burnt sugar on top, but you don't like serve it like a creme brulee, and it just kind of gets served like that. It's like flan meets creme brulee.
And then what would be your death row meal, or like what's your,
Mine, my last
yeah,
meal.
yeah,
Oh, my mom's menudo, 2 bowls.
that's it.
Yeah, that's the one. My mom's menudo, 2 bowls of it, and set me free.
And
I was gonna
she
add
makes the
on to Jody's
tortillas at the
question.
restaurant, right?
She does. She does make the tortilla. She does. She shapes our empanadas. Yeah, she's still a big help. Yeah, she's still a big help. Like and then you know, after she's done here, she you know, helps us with the kids. So um honestly, without her help, we wouldn't be as successful. She plays a big role in our success here too. Like just being able to like help us just even with the kids, um, that's hard. That's hard to find great childcare, and like what better way to have it than my own mother to do it.
What if you were cooking a special meal for your mom's celebration? What would she ask for? What would you make her?
She's over here. She's a little picky. Um, so for her, it would be I would cook her some rack of lamb. She loves rack of lamb. Rack of lamb with roasted potatoes and like some grilled veggies and maybe some basmati rice, and she's golden. Either that or what does she like that I make? She likes the duck and mole a lot. She that one, especially lately, because when she helps, I actually feed her. Otherwise, she'll get upset. No, she doesn't get upset.
And you
But I make
mentioned kids
her
too. You
portion.
have 2 kids?
I have 3 kids, but the 2
3
young
kids.
ones are here. Yeah,
And what
yeah.
would their request from Chef Dad be? Because are they on chicken nuggets and PB&J
Oh
kind of,
no.
or
So
they stopped that
so
early?
so my oldest, Jocelyn, when she comes and visits us, it would probably be like a pozole verde. Um, she loves that. She loves when I make that, or grilled cheese, like a very cheesy grilled cheese. Um, Savannah she's bougie. she 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 would like, in her exact words, a dozen oysters and then linguine with clams and scallops.
Wow.
And then Christopher, he likes when I cook him steak and crispy potatoes. That's his thing. And yeah, he's like mama. Actually he likes the baked potato now too. So him and mama would be sharing the meal, the steak and potatoes.
Yeah, and on to some reader questions, by the way. Someone was actually asking, how do you spend most of your day? Is it on the kitchen prep side? Is it front of house, getting everything organized with, the front end there? What's day to day look like for you when you're not cooking for your family and their
So
wishes?
day to day is so I get here like at 9 a.m. and I run around like a chicken without my head, prepping and receiving product and getting stuff ready. And then my sous chef, he comes in at 2, and then the rest of the team comes at 3. We open at 5, but between 9 and 2, I'm by myself. So I'm doing a lot of the prep. I'm breaking down fish, making the pastas, doing like the sauces, kind of like all the, like I call it the important stuff, because if you make that correctly, like your end product is already good, right? Like if the sauces are tight, ready, already reduced, seasoned well, all that stuff kind of falls in line. And I make sure that the hot food's ready for our service and stuff like that. And then the guys are doing like the prep that they have, like garnishing, setting up their station and stuff like that. And then I work service. We make staff meal for everybody, 4 p.m., 4 to 4:30 p.m. Make sure everybody's well fed. And then we go through the numbers. I go through the numbers with the front of the house, talk to them, show them, ask them like to push certain items or whatever it may be. Or if there's a special, I run it through them. We will basically a lineup, and then we start service right at 5, and on the line, expoing and plating everything, and slicing meats and cooking whatever I have to do.
And another viewer is asking, where did the actual inspiration for the name Belly of the Beast come from?
So belly of the beast is so it means like you're in the thick of it, right? And like in a difficult situation. So when I was running the restaurant at the hotel, I used to yell that out like during busy nights, like we're in the belly of the beast. And then one day it just kind of clicked. I was like, man, that's a good name for a restaurant. So it just kind of I ran with it, we we made sure our DBA was locked in.
And you are already busy. How many total people are working in the kitchen, I guess, right now on a given night, other than you?
I have 4 cooks.
4 cooks.
That's it. And then myself. So yeah, 1, 2, 3 on the hotline, and then 1 on the cold side doing like ceviches and dessert, and then me. Yep.
Okay, and then
Small
someone
team.
else is asking, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, but any plans to expand in town? Someone else is also asking specifically plans to open for lunch, that they were there and had a great dinner with you all last Friday evening.
So to answer really quickly, no on lunch. uh, Not because it's just it would make my day so much more longer and more difficult, to be honest with you. And we tried lunch last year, obviously not with the recognition that we have now. So I'm sure it would probably be better, but to be honest with you, no, having young ones, I really want to be there. I want to be able to like enjoy like a day off and just be with them. And my days consist of just kind of like hanging out with them on my days off. We don't really do anything else. It's just like I'm very family oriented. Um, so Belly of the Beast, I feel like the natural progression or what's the next evolution of Belly of the Beast. You know, when we're done with our lease here, we'll probably look at a bigger space, something a little more, little like nicer, full bar, nicer kitchen toys, hopefully live fire, um, and like a little raw bar area kind of situation. I think it would that would like be like a good evolution for Belly of the Beast, because that would actually help me offer more to the table, to like of what we can do with those toys and stuff.
And actually on the bar question, because Houston's alcohol bar, scene is also extremely big and popular. And I kind of want to ask Bao and Jody this after you, but Chef Thomas first. What's your alcoholic beverage of choice? Is it a margarita? Is it something along the Mexican side of, tequila? What kind of drink is your go-to?
It's last words actually. Um, I like chartreuse, and I like it with gin, but I also like it replacing the gin with mezcal, and but yeah, that's like my favorite go-to drink.
Okay, Bao.
I'm also on the team gin, but just a classic gin martini dry up with a twist.
Okay, Jody.
Probably a gimlet, though I had my very first last word a couple months ago and loved it.
Okay, here's a question that just came in, and I think also all three should answer this because I think there's some diversity in answer here. Chef Thomas first, what other restaurants in the Houston area do you think are terrific but not yet well known?
So I think it's a very well-known restaurant, but I think it needs more national attention. Is Agas. I uh, I literally think about my meal there a lot.
I see a lot of shaking heads from Jody and Val
Yeah,
as well. I think everyone agrees.
I literally think about that place. Like if I lived closer, I'd be a frequent diner. That I think the food there was amazing. It was like so good, like so good. I think also I like that what's the name of that restaurant? I like well, he does get recognition. Chopping Block, I think his food is very soulful. I think like him representing his flavors and his culture and stuff like that. It's kind of unlike anything you see out here. And I also really enjoy Sue's pop-ups and stuff. Burmalicious. I actually really love Burmese food. There's a little restaurant I used to go to in LA in Monterey Park, and it was like a little hole in the wall. And it was just one lady. She'd take your order, and then she'd come back 20 minutes later with food because she'd go in the back and like cook for you. So when I was able to actually eat Burmese food again here, I felt like it was like one of those aha moments where I was like, oh man, thank God I love this. Like I really, really enjoy those flavors a lot.
Val, what about you? What is maybe one or two other restaurants in the Houston area that you think are terrific and not maybe as well known yet?
Oh, I say read our reviews on Wednesday. So I think we highlight a lot of restaurants that I think that are that aren't always in the spotlight. But I mean, I think you can go, in Asia Town, and there's just so many spots there. And I spent a good chunk of last week, last Friday in Pasadena, and ate like all these amazing tacos, and learned about how like 70% of the population there is Latino, and there's all these great restaurants. And I definitely plan to write about one of them very soon.
Okay, Jody?
I mean, I would know much more than me, but really, you can find good food in so many places. Like, I was just down in Kima, and I don't live in Kima, but we were just walking around, and there's a place called Fish and Chips that had amazing fish and chips. Like, it can be in any genre, in any, there's a place in my neighborhood called Tio Trumpo that I love. That's just your neighborhood taqueria. They have a Trumpo. Their son serves the customers. They have amazing guacamole. Yeah, I think it's anywhere. And to your point about Aga's, Thomas, every top 100, we put it on our top 100 list, and that's like the restaurant that everyone is like cheering for, and everyone's like,
Yeah,
yes, Aga's is on it. Something about Aga's, man.
yeah. They need to be recognized by Michelin. Like they need a bib for sure. That food is so good.
So, are you going after a bib now officially, Thomas? Is there anything you're going to try and do differently to try and get the bib, or are you just par for the course?
Well, we already have a bib, so I'd like to retain it. Yeah. So yes, I would like to retain it. But as far as like chasing a star or anything, I feel no, because that would kind of change the style of dining that we do here. I don't really want to change anything that we're doing here. I feel sometimes, not every Michelin restaurant, but they're a little sterile, to me, especially like staging them in them and like working at some of them, like just like even like the kitchens, like no music, you're quiet, it's just like it's like don't laugh, like it's kind of like it's so sterile, and I like to have a good time. I like to be able to like smile and come in and like crack some jokes, and then when it's time to be serious, we're time to be serious. But like to be at that level and like just have a scowl on your face all day, it's just like it's not fun. And maybe that's just my experience coming up. I'm hoping that has changed in the fine dining scene, but for the most part, we know how it is. So it's like it's like I I don't want to I don't want to what's it called? I don't want to bring that here. I think
Well,
what
and
we're doing here is
important distinction that the Michelin star and the bib are different accolades
yeah,
and very different. Like to your point, you have the bib and the star is the one I should have said instead, but
yeah.
definitely different accolades, different types of award.
Thomas, do you watch The Bear?
I do. I did not like this last season. It's too dramatic, man. It's too like
Yeah.
it's like what am I watching here? Like it's but I watch it out of like I don't really watch much TV, but when I do, it's kind of just to like numb my brain and like get me like to not think about anything, except I'm watching a show that's about restaurant and it makes me think about everything.
Stressing you out
Yeah,
even more.
yeah, but like for example, the first season of The Bear, when he's like turn off the online ordering and stuff, that used to be me at the original Belly of the Beast with all the orders that we'd get in and we'd do like pre-orders. So it'd be like a time where it'd be like 6 p.m. and there'd be like 30 tickets going out at the same time. And I'd be like, turn off the online ordering. So when I saw that scene, I was like, damn, that sounds like me. Uh, um, but I do watch it. I feel there's a lot of truths, but I think that honestly, the last two seasons were so dramatic that they didn't really show anything about the kitchen. I think It's just, a whole episode about, her having a baby with the mom there, and it's just kind of like, what are we watching, dude? Like,
Specifically, you're in Spring, obviously, we talked a little bit about this, and that Spring and maybe the Woodlands area have a lot of chain restaurants or maybe not as, niche boutique restaurants environment wise. So where do you go out to eat in Spring or in your neighborhood, neck of the woods, that's not a chain? Or do you have to go to chain restaurants? Where do you usually and your family go when you need to go out?
so we eat at a Thai restaurant called Alloy Alloy. It's off Kirkendall. Um, the food is super consistent there, and like all they're so friendly there. Um, we eat there at least 2 3 times a month, and then we eat at a Middle Eastern restaurant that's in a market. It's called Zamani Grill, and I really love the food there. The food is just so spot on. It's always good. And then like I go to the market and I buy like all my little Middle Eastern staples that I need. Like I get my labneh there and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a two for one trip every time I go there. Um, those two we frequent a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then yeah, uh, don't really eat anywhere else. I mean, we eat like pizza and stuff like that, but try to cook at home as much as possible. Um, but yeah, just those two restaurants we frequent a lot. Like we walk in and they'll recognize us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And a little bit also on the timeliness of, in the food scene, like Chef Anne Burrell just passed away, and she was a big voice on the Food Network, Food Channel, all of the, food outlets. Um, her aside, is there anyone in those big names, the Bobby Flays of the world, all of the giant celebrity chefs? Are there any that are particularly resonating with you, or you really follow just their work and you really like, or is there other food heroes or people you look to that are maybe not on that level?
Um, I think what Jose Andres does with running the World Kitchen situation, I think it's amazing what he does. There's also a chef, I don't know his name um, too well, but what he does is he places chefs at schools to give them quality meals. Man, I really wish I knew his name, but I felt like it was it's gonna kill me. I'm gonna have to look it up. But what he does is that he grabs like quality chefs and he puts them in these schools and he has them cooking like high quality meals for these schools. I think people doing that for our community. The guy that won the humanitarian award in for this year, 2025, James Beard, up in Dallas for the, I think what he does, and I actually spoke to him downstairs at the media room. I told him how his story one was like it was beautiful what he does, um, and also because it resonated well with me. I was an at-risk youth growing up, and I felt like when actually at Odium I had a program where I would hire from this other there was like this little program that was kind of kitchen based, and they would send me cooks from there, and it was people that have been like locked up or have like felonies or ex-drug addicts and people that really want to make a change. And I felt like hearing that story, I was like, wow, this guy's really doing it at a larger scale and stuff like that. But that stuff always hits home for me. And then you got that's pretty much like who I look up into, like people that are actually like making effective change in the world.
Hmm. And are there any Houston chefs that you haven't had a chance to work with, or Houston area, maybe in the hospitality space that you haven't worked with that you would like to, or maybe go do something with?
Um, yeah, actually, I told Justin you the other day that he needs to come in here, and that I told him that maybe we should do something together. Um, I think what he's done for the city and stuff like that. It's been great. Let me see, let me think. Because I have worked with quite a few of the stuff people here. I think, you know, I want to do, so I'll be doing a collab with Adrian, who was, I was his mentor at Maximo. We'll be doing something in September together. And then, I think maybe do something with Mayak from Musafir. You know, I love that guy's food. Every time I like see him at an event, he has like the most flavorful bite there. Always, I'm always like he did this dumpling thing. He told me it was the first thing he ever learned how to cook, and yeah, he was like making like 500 dumplings for this event, and I was just like, "You're crazy." But once I ate it, I was like, "Wow, this is like freaking amazing." And then he did like this actually at the Houston Cron Top 100 event, he did like this onion situation. Man, that thing was flavorful, dude. He was like right behind me, so I had like two of them. I was like, let me get another one. I was like,
I think I had
Yeah.
3 of them.
Yeah.
yeah, it was so good, so good.
Yeah, Musafir is right located very close to the Houston Chronicle. So you, I think, already have taste testers on board. Jody, Bao, and myself, I think, volunteer as tribute for that future partnership or pop-up, whatever it looks like. We are, I think, all on board for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and really, we're again just so thankful to have you, Chef Thomas, and congratulations again on the award and all of the fabulous work you do in your kitchen. We are very excited for you.
Thank
And
you.
and again, to everybody who's watching today, we are going to have our entire conversation that you've watched live put up on our YouTube channel. Within 48 hours, it will be back up there. You can send it to your friends. You can watch it again. Maybe get some more ideas for new ingredients and fun foods to try. Coming up in a couple weeks, the rest of August, we have HC Live events almost every week. We will have an event on how to apply for 504s and IEPs if you have a child, in HISD. We have not spring, but we've got the Sugarland mayor, the Tomball mayor. We've got all these women leaders from suburban Houston coming on as well to talk about leadership. So we've got lots of events coming up. Stay tuned, follow HC Live, not only on the website for the HoustonChronicle.com events page, but on our newsletter. You can also follow the food newsletter. Jody, Bao, Sonia, the entire food team works to put out, and you will meet more chefs like Chef Thomas and all of the amazing chefs here in Houston. So go to HoustonChronicle.com, find all that information there. And we are at lunchtime, so I think Chef Thomas needs to get back to work in the kitchen and all of that. So we will let him get to it. But thank you again, Chef, and to Bao and Jody, and to everyone for joining us today. And you all have a great rest of the day and be safe, okay? Bye-bye.
Bye.